Olá, seja bem-vinda e seja bem-vindo ao Agroamérica, um programa produzido em parceria com o Instituto Interamericano de Cooperação para a Agricultura, aqui direto de San José, na Costa Rica. Essa edição especial nós vamos falar sobre uma das líderes rurais da Guiana que fomentou uma rede de produtoras agropecuárias, todas de agricultura familiar, e incentivou que elas pudessem processar os seus produtos. Minha entrevistada é Rosamund Benn, que fala com a gente aqui direto da Costa Rica. Rosamund, thank you so much for your time. I'm so curious to get to know a bit of your story because it's a wonderful example of what other women can do in the entire hemisphere with their own products that they produce and benefiting, their salaries and their sales in order to have a more productive and healthy life in the field. Could you tell me how this project began? When did you get to know that it was possible for you to really get into farming and produce your own produce?
Actually, after I got married, my husband's a farmer, so I got into farming immediately after that, and we planted like cash crops because that was ready money. Yeah. And as time goes on, we planted permanent crops like coconuts, dry and wet coconuts, bananas and plantains. So being a farmer or the wife of a farmer, I will work alongside my husband. I'll take the produce to the market. We'll do the farming together. We'll go to the market together, but I mainly handle the market by selling. And I will do that like about 3 times a week and still have to make time for the family, for the farm, because I had children. Start getting children, and it was 5 of them that came within like about 12 years during that time. So I still hold on to the farming as my children grew and started out of school, and we had to expand because you have to get more money in order to send your children to school. Mm-hmm. And from primary to secondary, and some went on to tertiary. So as the children grew, the expense grew. Then I was invited at one time to a workshop with one of the Ministry of Agriculture workshops within the area that I live, and I live in a riverine area. So our main transportation is boat and engine. You don't use cars there or bicycles.
Yes.
So when I went to the workshop and what I learned, I wanted to join, I wanted to give it a try. I felt that it was my calling to be among women and to share some of the knowledge that I had from the farm. I did that, and the group was small. It was like about 5 or 6 women at that time. I sent in my application after discussing it with my husband, and they accepted me, and I started off, and that was in 2006. Mind you, I started farming since around 1982. So in 2006, I joined a women's group. That gave me the exposure now that I never had, because out of school into marriage, so I was just at home on the farm. So when I joined the women's group now, I started to get the exposure to go out to different workshops, going to Georgetown, going on exhibitions and different kind of things, representing the women's group. Then we were invited, myself and another woman from our women's group, by ICA, one of ICA's staff. I can call her name, Maxine Paris Aaron. And she, along with a volunteer from VSO at that time by the name of Palm Jardine, they invited us to a workshop. We went way into the northwest, that's closer to the border of Venezuela, at a village called Josororo. And that is where the network was formed.
Which network?
The Women Agro-Processors Development Network.
Wow. So that network was formulated based off of that?
Of different women,
point.
Yes, from that meeting point. So we had like about 5 women's group were invited from different areas in Guyana, mainly the interior locations.
And what was the initiative to create a group of this? Why did you create it?
Because these women's group were there. And because they were there, all of them had challenges, like getting your products to the market, adding value to it, and being able, basically these groups are farming areas, and they produce like nuts, cassava, arrows, plantains, and other things. And they need money living in those locations. It's challenging to get your product out from there to the city in Georgetown. By road, rough terrain, it's approximately 15 hours by bus. And the other transportation is by air, but then that is costly to come out from there. So with these women having these very challenges, ICA saw the need to educate us, to help us. And we all came together from the point of forming we call it WADNet, and we start encouraging each other, finding out to know the challenges. We had meetings every year, but we will constantly keep in touch. And now that technology has gotten a little better for us in our area, we keep contact regularly by the phone. We also keep our meetings presently on Zoom. So some of those challenges in the traveling and the expenses, we have cut them out in that way. But the network forming has enabled these women groups to grow. So myself started to producing my own things now. Rather than the farming products, I started to add value to my dry coconuts, to peppers, to what we call the star fruit, the carambola.
Yeah, we have that too. Yeah.
Yes, and like there is a coconut casrip that you get from the dry coconut water. You get casrip from cassava water, so you can get casrip also from dry coconut water.
But now you're talking about a variety of different products that you already used to grow. What was the tipping point between, look, I have these products and I can produce them? Where did you see the possibility and the techniques in order to process these products, which I imagine had to be cost effective at first?
Well, some of these things, remember, we know about them, grew up knowing them, let's say, having them all the time, just for yourself, and the extra you might share with your neighbor or something like that. But then now when you learn that you can make money from them, you go to exhibition, you are exposed to exhibitions, you see that you can do something with it, and that was the turning point. Rather than just having them and utilizing for the household, now you can make money.
And you process these products at your home with your family? How does it work?
Well, in order for you to process, you have to apply for a manufacturer's license, and the Food and Drug staff will come and they'll inspect your place. They'll tell you what you need. You have to get a sink, you have to get that counter, you have to get your place fence or, put properly, that flies and cats and dogs or nothing can go around the area. So you had to get everything fixed. Then they come back, they inspect it again, and then they approve your application to process. So when you get that process done, then you go and you register now with the deeds registry with the government as a business, small business. So now you can pay your taxes as the time goes on. However, all the other groups, they too have their own products. Everyone had to apply for a license to manufacture. Some of them had already, prior to me. You had to get packaging materials that is suitable. Then first, we never know about labels come on the packaging. So you go and you get a little label print and you put it on, but then the Food and Drug analyst will tell you that we have requirements. This is the requirements that you have to meet. You have to put your product name, your product, what you put inside, that's the ingredients, the batch number, expiry date, time prepare, and so forth. So when you get all of that, now we had a little help also through the Guyana Marketing Corporation that's in Guyana, and they assist us with like finding adding the value to it and putting down that on your label also.
In Guyana, having this type of license, does it give you the possibility of also applying for grants, finance from the government to help you process your products?
There are grants that they will normally have, yes, because but sometimes it is drawn out,
Yep.
and by the time you get that grant, you're already frustrated. So why I like to acknowledge ICA, because they have been a source of strength for us. The staff in Guyana there, they help us along. They provided training for us, all the women's group. They provided training in business management, production, in like record keeping, and everything they showed us. Like if you teach a child, like a child now learning to walk, and you start holding the hand, and then eventually when you start walking, it's not that they left us, because we have a small office downstairs of ICA building that we call it the WADNet office, and that is where you can go and find the products from all the groups. So you can find like cocoa sticks, crab oil, cassava bread, virgin coconut oil, cashew. You can find soaps, you can find wine, farine, you name them. We have them. Pepper sauce, green seasoning, and different
This
products
in one location.
in one location.
And is there a possibility of growing these different types of markets? Because you're talking about being able to empower your production, your processing, and then you make your products available for the consumer with a direct line of sale, right? There's no middle person involved,
Yes,
correct?
right now we have it there, and when we go to exhibitions, we'll have our business card, and we'll give it out to persons who will come and check the products, especially business people that we know is gonna buy. And then sometimes after the exhibition is over, if it takes 3-4 days after that's finished, we go back home. We might be fortunate to get a phone call, and somebody's interested in the product and they would like to buy it, and that's where our market starts.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and we have what we call the Guyana shop. That too is a government-run mini supermarket, only with local products.
Okay.
So they're one of our main buyers. So if they buy it from us and someone call and ask, where can I find your product? We say, check the Guyana shop.
Right. So this is already a store that is developed by the network, and as well as a store that is
Yeah, we have
aided by the
yes,
government.
yes. There's a
Correct?
store aided by the government, and then we have our mini store downstairs of ICA building, and we have a facilitator who is there 5 days a week. So she helps along with the sales, because I live far. If I'm going to travel to Georgetown, it will take me between 3 to 4 hours. If some of the other ladies have to come, it's about 15 hours. So because of that, we had to get somebody on the ground in order that they can assist us to market our products. So we pack our products from the different areas. Some of the ladies gonna send them out by bus. They're gonna drop off at the bus service place. Our administrator will go. She'll pick it up, take it to the network office. If it was an order, she's gonna call the person who ordered it, and she's gonna deliver it. Or if it comes on a ferry from way down in the northwest, that's closer to Venezuela, comes on the ferry, she'll go to the wharf and she'll pick it up. If I send from my area too, because we use freight boat also from where I live, and that freight boat takes like about between 24 hours to reach to Georgetown. She'll go and she'll pick up stuff from there, and then she'll do her delivery, and that helps us. And one of the things that I like about being in the network, it helped me to grow from when I started, because I used to make coconut oil, the boiled coconut oil prior to that. And I just had the small market at home with my neighbors and at the market, that kind of stuff. But because of the network and being recognized, I'm now able to have my products in the supermarkets, some of the main supermarkets in Georgetown. And that has given me more money.
That's incredible. Look, we're going to go for a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the network as a whole and how it benefits these women. Para você que está aí, ó, aguarde que temos mais. O Agroamérica vai para um pequeno intervalo e voltamos em instantes. Olá, o Agroamérica está de volta e estamos falando com Rosamund Benn, produtora rural da Guiana, que fez parte de uma rede de mulheres que aprenderam não somente a incrementar a sua produtividade, mas processar e escoar e vender diretamente para o consumidor os seus próprios produtos. Rosamund, just before you said, how good it was for you to learn about all these possibilities to process your own foods. How is the network today and how many women are involved?
We have 12 groups today. We started with 5 groups, and we have 12 women groups today in the network. And within that 12 groups, each group has their own members. So some of those groups have like between 12 to 15 persons in their groups. So multiply that by 12. And then they will have other helpers who's going to help them like in the farm. And they work closely along with farmers within the communities. So it's within a win-win story. You have a group, the farmer know that they can sell their product to this group is going to manufacture or add value to it, and then they're going to sell it to somewhere else now. So everybody gets money along the way. And because of that, some of these ladies were able to elevate themselves into whatever they're doing and expand.
So not only they got to make money, but they also were able to expand their own businesses in that sense. How does this, in your perspective, change the dynamic for women in rural areas in Guyana? What have been the changes that you can say you have seen not only with yourself, but also with other women?
In rural communities, men do the work and bring home the money. But with these women now in these rural communities, now that they have a product or products that they can manufacture and get their own money, they can contribute to their own well-being or their children's well-being. And for me, that's a plus, because rather than just waiting on the income from your husband, now you can contribute. Prior to that, you had to wait until, and interior locations are challenging communities to live in because there is no job opportunities like on the coastland. If you're not a teacher, if you're not a nurse, you don't have a salary to get. And even if you have your farm, it's definitely only you're going to eat from what you grow. So if you have to get money, you have to do something to get money. So adding value to the farm products has helped some of these groups. Some of these women were able to get contracts with the government in school feeding programs and so. And that in itself brought in money for them. So they were able, at the end of the week, a woman might turn out to work 5 days of the week, and at the end of the week, she has money. Because when these groups started, they weren't paying the group members. You had to do, like, you do it willingly, just to get the group going. But now that you have products to sell, now you have money coming in. You're being paid for what you do.
How do you assess the change of the ecosystem, let's say between your neighborhood, your town, the neighboring communities, with women who are able to be empowered by this knowledge, create their own processed goods, be part of this network? How does this change the dynamic within the rural space? Obviously, women are being able to work, have their money, but does this change how you interact with people? Does this give you more freedom of time? Does this give you more quality of life?
Yes, it gives you more freedom of time, and it gives you a quality of life, and it helps people to recognize you also. Because many a times, some of our the women from the network, they're being sponsored to go to different forums in different parts in other countries, not only in Guyana, but in other countries. For instance, some they had an innovative contest, and they won some money on one of the products that they're making. And some of them went to Suriname. The other day I saw some went to Panama, some went to Brazil, different places. And because of that, you're being exposed. Now, when you get that kind of exposure, you go back home with an added strength something you learn that now you can carry back home, and you can either put it into your business, or you can put it into the community by telling them, look, this is the way other people do it, and we can give it a try. It was successful for them, it can be successful for us.
I think that the example that you're giving is how one is able to develop what is coined today and very popularly said the bioeconomy of the country, which is a form of maintaining jobs in a rural community, empowering the communities that are doing this type of work, processing these goods without having to have negative impacts in your areas where you live. In a way, it's an example that can be reproduced in many areas only by showing how knowledge, support, and finance can actually help communities, improve their life.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is the future for rural communities, especially for women?
Yes, I think that's the future for communities, especially for rural women, because what I've noticed recently is that the government of Guyana, and other agencies like Exxon, they have invested in some of these groups and helped them to expand either in a product, or help to repair their building, or help to expand the building and stuff like that. Because if you were alone in a corner, nobody will know about you. But now that we're in a network, people know about the network. We advertise it. We have our own Facebook page. We have our business card. We advertise our network. We put it up. We talk about it. So everybody know about WADNet. Not everybody then, but the majority of persons know about WADNet. They ask you where you get this product from, how can I get it, and those kind of stuff. And because of that, some of the groups have benefited from different agencies, which I am very, very happy about. Some of them have some state-of-the-art factory only, almost in operation. They got good equipment and so forth, like making farine and making other products.
That's fantastic. What is the future perspective for the network today in Guyana? Is there a notion of how much you can grow? Have you been able also to encourage other women of joining the network?
Yes, we always encourage other women. Just recently, I had the opportunity of hosting a learning route from my home, because being a member of the network, and the hosting that was through, I think it was through Chile, and they went to my home. They took people. Some of those women went on and won prizes. Yeah, and then because of that, now it gives it I feel happy about it. That I can contribute to the growth of other women. And if I see somebody's trying to do something, a woman is trying to do something, I'll encourage them. I encourage them. I tell them about the network. I tell them how they can make their application to the network, because that's the process. You make your application. You must have a product. You must have it already labeled. You can go register your business, have a place to manufacture it, and then you can be able to join the network. In my area, as of recent, that's last month, I was invited to a meeting. They're setting up a factory there at one of the women's group, and they're catering for persons who do not have place to manufacture. You can go there, manufacture your product, and take it home at a small price. So you use the equipment. So you don't have to go buy no equipment to manufacture. You just go with your raw material, you get it done, you take it home, sell.
Great. Thank you so much for this interview. It's a wonderful opportunity to know your story. And hopefully, I think it will influence, as it already has, other women of also in rural areas to do the same.
Thank you very much.
Eu conversei com Rosamund Benn, produtora rural da Guiana, que mostrou uma história exemplar sobre como pode uma pessoa desenvolver uma cadeia de produção a partir do conhecimento e a união e o associativismo, e como isso daí realmente pode mudar a vida das pessoas no campo. Obrigado pela audiência, eu fico por aqui e te aguardo no nosso próximo programa.